Yo, what's up? This is Prevail of Swollen Members, Battle Axe Warriors, and you're watching Action Recon.
What's up? Action Recon here, Toronto, Canada, with Swollen Members, Prevail.
What up?
We're gonna sit down and talk about the new album and see what's going on with you guys.
Stoked.
Let's start off let's talk about the new album a little bit. That thing was a beast.
Thank you.
Talk about kind of what went into writing it, what went into recording it, and sort of the motivation you guys have behind it, because you seem to have the force of a juggernaut behind that thing. It was so aggressive, you know?
Thank you. Well, a real return back to the original Swollen Members sound. Dark, heavy, instrumentally ridiculous what Rob and C-Lance and Aspect did. And of course, in contrast to the last release that had no guests, we had amazing guests on this album, with of course the exception of Saigon from the last record, but that was really him inviting us to jump on a track and allowing us to repurpose it. But as far as Swollen content goes, on the new record, man, you know, Vinny, Bill, Slane massacred it. Yeah. All the boys from the Pharaohs smashed it. Yeah. Apathy, self-titled, Esoteric, and of course we got Snack the Ripper on the last song. So it always forces us to step up when we know we're in keeping such good company and MCs of that caliber. Yep. It really forces you to get better and want to get better. So that was part of the motivation behind the album, and again mixed with the wanting to return to the original sound and just no inhibitions about or predetermined notions about we need a single for the radio, we have to have a video that is going to appease the masses. Let's just do what we do, keep it super raw, super honest, and super powerful.
It's interesting you talked about Daggermouth, because Daggermouth, it seemed when that album dropped, it was kind of like a Swollen's back now. Yeah. You know, we worked our demons out, here we are.
Sure.
And that, I mean, that album was pretty well received. It was an amazing album.
Thank you.
We gave it a wicked review on our site.
Word, thank you.
Did you feel any pressure going into the studio trying to follow that up?
No, in fact, I think we felt less pressure. As we went through the transition from Arm to the Teeth and then gave our heads a shake and made Daggermouth, Mad was just at the tail end of the recovery process, of the sobriety. Sorry, the tail end of the addiction. Yeah. Stepping into the sobriety. So that was still an album of reflection. I think you hear that in the lyrics. It's still 1 foot here, 1 foot here, but I'm pulling that other foot out of the mud. With Beautiful Death Machine, not only was that foot out of the mud, my boy had a brand new pair of shoes on. So we were able to leave all those things behind and speak upon what the future of Swollen Members is going to be, as opposed to reflecting so heavily on past events.
Right. Yeah, I definitely noticed that with the new record, because as you said, on Daggermouth you were talking about some of the things that happened. Mad Child talked about it on Dope Sick.
Sure.
And then, yeah, I mean, you guys came out with this record, and it was like, okay, that's what happened, now this is what we're gonna do about it. Was it refreshing to sort of like almost have like a clean slate now to write new lyrics, new music, and just be like, okay, you know what? We've exercised our demons. Here's the next step. Here's the next process.
Absolutely, it was. Yeah. Yeah, it felt as a lyricist, it felt great. I for the first time in a long time, all three of us were in the studio for about 90% of the album, writing and recording. Of course, the beats were already made, but we would sit in the studio and just write.
Right.
We haven't done that in a long time. Yeah. And I think it shows that we were in the same room. It's just got a unified feeling to the album. We were recording and we were on an amazing pace, a song a day, sometimes 2 songs a day. And that's including writing hooks and choruses and Rob doing some small edits and drops and things like that. So I think we've realized now that's how we used to work back in the day when we were making our most impactful music, and that's now the formula I think that we're going to stick by.
Right. One of my favorite tracks on the album was Almost Famous.
Word.
I mean, the lyrics they're insightful, and I found the chorus really insightful, and it
Yeah.
kind of, I wanted to, maybe you can touch on exactly what that song's about, and it's always amazed me, and I think a lot of your fans as well, how like you guys have gone through so much as a band and stayed tight, stayed friends, come back and put out what I think is probably the best music of your career.
Thank you.
Was that a matter of kind of putting friendship before business, or was that a matter of just staying together through hardship?
I mean, that was friendship before business. So I mean, when it was at the dire straits level where it was like, yo, what is going to happen? Yes, in your mind, there's certain parts of your brain that are thinking, are we going to make music again? What's going to happen with our career? Do I need to start typing up a resume? You know, things of that nature. But all of that stems from, is this guy going to be around tomorrow? Right? So yes, it's friendship, brotherhood first. The music and the professional aspect follow suit.
Right. To switch topics, you guys are now cleared to get into the United States?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
No. I
know you are.
Rob and I are good, but Matt is still working. He and our manager Kevin Zinger have been actually in dialogue with Congress and just working on clearing up some of the last questions or inquiries that they have on their end. So Matt's doing his best to show the kind of person that he's become and show the sobriety that is actually working in his favor, and he's becoming a strong member of the community again and a creative powerhouse.
Cool. I hear you mention Kevin Zinger. He's a big supporter of Action Recon. How's working with Suburban Noise? You guys have been working with it for a long time.
We have quite a few years now.
How was this record? How'd that go?
Yo, man, they were ecstatic.
Yeah.
You know, when Zinger calls you personally, and you hear the song in the car playing, and you know he's just ripping around LA, sunglasses on. Love the new record, bro. You're like, yeah, see. So that's
a good imitation.
Thanks. So that's awesome. That's endearing, and that look, the marriage between Subnoise and Battle Axe is based on respect for each other's idea of what it is to stand alone and be an independent artist and fight the good fight.
Right.
So for a group like us that's been independent since the get-go, yes, we've had major distribution. We've been signed to, we were signed to Virgin US, we got dropped. So we learned that lesson the hard way.
You've always kept it underground.
Absolutely, and it's always been true, and that's how I feel that Subnoise has been able to run their label. And then on the management side with Regime, they have that understanding. These aren't just people that graduated from a management course and said, I want to go into music management and see how much money I can make. They care about music and they care about their artists, and I'll tell you what, in this industry, in this day and time especially, very rare, but fucking awesome.
Yeah, that's good, man.
Word.
Sealance, let's talk about him. I mean,
Yeah.
Rob the Viking's been a staple with you guys for ages, and the
course.
dude is a monster.
He is.
Just incredible.
Yeah.
We love Sealance. We've done interviews with him, and he's worked with like a lot of the guys that you had on your album, like Slane and Vinny Taz and Bill.
Yeah.
How was working with him, and just tell us a bit about that experience.
Sick. So he and Matt had been forming a friendship, working relationship prior to Beautiful Death Machine. And I was hearing some of the stuff that Matt was doing from the EPs, the Band from America EPs, and the early parts of Dope Sick and all those things. And he's playing me these beats. I'm like, yo, this guy's crazy. It's a dude. He sends me 5 beats a week. He's on one. I'm sure he'd be willing to work with Swollen. So that's how it worked. Of course, he sent a cache of beats at a time, and we went through them and said, yeah, this one. I mean, all amazing. But some things just really register with you, and of course, Swollen's got that signature sound where we know this is we're gonna just kill this beat. So that's been the process working with Sealance. We can't wait to get back in the studio and start finishing. I mean, finishing the next record, which again is a great blend and balance of Rob and Sealance.
Right on. I just want to ask you something. On Beautiful Death Machine, I thought that personally was some of my favorite work of yours personally.
Oh, thanks, bro.
It was insane.
Thank you.
Particularly on the song Backsword.
Thank you.
And I just wanted to know how you sort of go about writing verses. I mean, that's rapid fire shit.
Word.
And clear as a whistle.
Thank you.
What's your approach when you go into writing something that aggressive?
Well, again, that beat just draws it out of you. And that's just, honestly, bro, it's just practice. That's reading, that's listening and learning and practicing. Shit, you want to be good at being an MC, you can't just get good and then stop and think you know it all.
It's an ongoing.
It's ongoing. It's always changing. It's like cooking.
Yeah.
You and I could sit here and trade recipes, and then Alex would be like, "Yo, you try my jerk chicken? Yo, what'd you put in that, yo?" Right? So you gotta keep learning, man. Keep learning.
Let's talk a little bit about what you've been up to outside of Swollen Members. I know Madchild's got his solo career.
Sure.
I know you have a website.
I do. I have
Let's talk about that.
I have an online lifestyle magazine called Prevail.com. The idea behind it, Mad's really, really well versed at wearing his heart on his sleeve when it comes to giving a lot of his personal self in the music.
Right.
I'm a little more sheltered when it comes to things like that. And I realized that, but I wanted to be able to give people a platform to see where my inspiration in daily life and lyricism comes from. I go to the symphony, I go to the opera, I go to the ballet. I love cooking. We have a similar ideology to how to live the good life. As you see on the thing, it's a guide to the good life.
Right.
All the way from my friend Jamie D. Grant, who's a professional Ripley's Believe It or Not magician, to my friend Brett Kawaguchi or Joe Leary or Jacob Sweetapple, all a world champion cocktailer, damn near a master sommelier, buys the biggest wine buyer in Canada, and then a beer expert. These are all people, we hang out, we go for dinner, we laugh, we trade stories. That's my team. I vouch for those guys. I get influence from them and inspiration from them and vice versa, and that's Prevail.com.
Is that sort of a Vancouver-based thing, or is this a national thing?
Well,
what are you looking to do with it?
It's stories, so it can, it's anything about stories of me being in New York or having a part-time place in LA.
Cool.
It's experiences I've had having dinners around the world with friends, bottles of wine that I've drank, my first pair of Rod Lavers.
Yeah.
My nephew writes for the site. It's a family affair. Of course, as you know, I'm based in Vancouver.
Yeah.
But I like to show that worldwide, international range because that's where a lot of my tastes and influence come from as well.
That's very cool, man.
Word, thanks, man.
I love it. We should talk about wine sometime.
Word.
I love it.
Word.
Obsessed with it.
No doubt.
Okay, that pretty much wraps it up, man.
Cool.
I appreciate it.
Thanks, Scott.
Thank you, sir.
Awesome. Bro.
Action, Recon, Prevail, Swollen Members, Beautiful Death Machine out now on Suburban Noise, and check out Prevail, Prevail.com. Thanks.